Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast. Here is your host.
Let's send it over to Rick Bucher.
Rick Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. I'm Rick Bucher. You can see me on FS1, you can read me on Bleacher Report, and you can follow me on Twitter at Rick Bucher. As promised, here is part 2 of my conversation with Lakers guard Rajon Rondo about playing with LeBron, about playing with the Lakers last season and all the craziness that ensued, his view of his career and series of one-year deals, as well as a look at just the league in general and where he is headed next, potentially, what he seeks to do. All that. Apologies for any ambient noise. This was recorded as part of a story that I did for Bleacher Report at a cafe, outside cafe in Manhattan Beach. Did not originally intend for it to be a podcast, but it was such a good, long conversation and couldn't get all of our conversation in the story for Bleacher Report, so I thought I would share it with you here. And it was so much that we had to do it in 2 parts. So hope you enjoyed part 1, and here is part 2. So it's interesting. I always get this, I talked to Richard Jefferson, I talked to a number of guys who played with LeBron, and there's a certain respect that comes with playing with LeBron.
Right.
And then when you get the thought that, oh, he doesn't want me here,
Well, first of all, not LeBron doesn't want me here. This is my, I was joking about guys watching me at 8, but
yes,
everybody on the team, LeBron was their favorite player.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Everyone had the shoes, the jersey.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It's like you're the biggest fan in the world. It's like playing with MJ, and then you get in there, and it's like, your mom or dad doesn't want you, or the person you looked up to, idolized, having that sit in your gut, not knowing, and a lot of guys, like I said, aren't, I'm going to say man enough, but aren't at the age to where they can have a man-to-man conversation versus maybe texting somebody, everyone wants to text you, are you okay, or this, the person, are we cool, or is everything okay,
Right.
That's the difference. So it's one thing to say, oh, play with LeBron, but if these guys, 22, 23 and under, he was their favorite player, for the 6, 7 straight years. Now playing with them is a complete shock, or complete. So that's the viewpoint. That's the perspective I take as far as understanding. So I think I could have done a better job, but I was trying to talk to Booz. I'm gonna say B.I., Zoe, trying to talk to those guys and help try to bridge that gap. But he's definitely a great teammate. Leadership. He's LeBron James. I don't think no one person can have it all. I don't know who his veterans was, or who obviously coming in as LeBron James. Who did you respect coming in, or who was your vets to teach you ropes going in and how to be a leader? So if you don't respect anyone coming in with that type of caliber play, it's kind of hard to listen to a person. So that's why KG was so big for me, because my first year, I had Paul, Michael McCanny, and Wally Zerbiak. Paul was hurt, so Paul left. So it's I didn't really have a vet to teach me the ropes, or to say something crazy to a coach, or to come to this practice. Nobody was teaching me those things. So I was fortunate to have a great leader as KG and Doc, Stan Cassell came in, Eddie House, Keon Dolan. So those guys helped. I put a lot of work in, but those guys helped. Took a little bit from here, took a little bit from him, took a little bit from him. So I don't know who LeBron had, his first couple of years as far as how to be a leader or what it takes.
Really good point.
He's dealing with so many other things. If he's not the best leader in the world, but he does it by showing up to work every day. He might do it a different way. He might not be a vocal leader or deal with confrontation, but he's in the gym every day. Right. He's leading that way.
By example.
Yeah, so...
Well, to that end, though, too, and I always wondered this from the beginning, is where he is in his career, where he wants his family to live, where he wants his son to go to school. I felt like for the first time, he was considering other things than just the basketball component.
Absolutely.
And I don't fault him for that. I mean, that's the distinction. I got no problem with that. But let's call it for what it is. Let's be real about it. And is everybody okay with that? And so that's where I felt it was different too.
You can see, like I said, the movies and
that time and energy and that focus, that has to take something out of you.
Yes.
I mean, you do have a lot of time, but still, it's not the be-all, end-all of this thing.
Right. So, like I said, for him, I don't know if he said it himself as far as winning the championship. I don't know if he said that coming here. Obviously, he's a competitor. He wants to win.
Sure.
He's had success, obviously, at the highest level, but I don't really think I got that feel that he was really elsewhere. I think he may have been elsewhere because of all the downtime he had off. But when he was playing, he was there. He was there. He was locked in. But like I said, he missed so much time. We were on the training table a lot together, both injured at the same time. So seeing him go through that, never been injured or that. So that was obviously tough dealing with mentality, and you never know what he's going through. Because when I tore my ACL, I went through a lot those years when I was at I missed a lot of time. But a guy like that, never been able. When you have to sit still, that changes a lot of things. Your perspective from how you view things, and not trusting again and trying to get back. So I'm sure he went through a whole bunch of that, as far as what he was going through versus not. I would say he wasn't locked in, or his focus wasn't to win. It was just life happens. I have kids. He went, he goes to his son's games. Like being a dad, I totally relate it. I actually went to a couple of his son's games. So just seeing his son at that age is like, okay, I can't wait for my son to get to that age. So, he's a real person. He's a real man, and like I said, nobody can understand what he went through this year. 16 years in, your first time being injured like that.
I think that's another great point. Is thinking about that, like for the first time, you're feeling your vulnerability.
It's like I'm not the strongest guy in the world anymore. It's like I'm human. These things happen.
Because he's never. That's what has always amazed me, and I still don't.
Me too. I'm like, how the fuck do you twist your ankle? People tore ACL on this, and you come back 2 minutes later and play, and you're dunking on a fast break,
and you're playing that. I mean, I'm sure the toll that it takes on you to make a playoff run, to make a finals run. 9
straight years. Dude, on top of don't mention the Olympics.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
I don't. How do you physically do it? Every other guy I know, like Jay Kidd, John Stott. I mean, you go down the line. Every guy I know who was as dedicated as they could be, they had microfracture surgery. They had some major injury coming off of 1 or 2 runs. Never mind, 9 of them. It's
on top of everything else he's doing, I commend him for what he's doing so much more off the court. His leadership off the court.
Yep.
Him as as a dad, as a leader in that department, that means more to from a coworker standpoint or a friend standpoint, looking at that view. Because like I said, basketball comes and goes. It's a short window where we have this opportunity to be great in that window, but off the court, everything he's doing on top of 9 straight final runs is mentally draining, physically it's unreal how he's able to continue to uphold it. But I see it daily. I see Mike, Messina, this guy that takes care of his body, the way he's in the weight room daily. It's the reason why he's elite. I mean, I saw with KG, Kevin Garnett as well, every day. That's what I say. He told me I can't pick and choose on to be a leader, but he was in the weight room every day. I would shy away from the weight room because I'm 21. I feel great. I don't need to stretch. I don't tie my shoes when I play. But having that veteran factor to show me, like I said, it didn't happen right away for me. So kind of over time, I kind of gradually got to become consistent with what I wanted to be as far as a professional.
So I'm just curious, the places that you've played that you enjoyed the most, or that were the most satisfying? Do we start with Boston?
Start with Boston.
What's next?
New Orleans. I would say New Orleans.
And then?
What I went through with Chicago helped me grow.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
What'd you learn from that?
Cream always rises to the top. And that's been a mantra of mine for so long. Coming into Chicago, I think I was D Rose was the year before me, so it's like, okay, this is coming in, sitting down with the guys. This is what we want. This is what we expect. Can you do this? Just say, okay, cool. This is what you want from me, because I can definitely deliver this. This is easy. It's walking the park. I get to Chicago.
What was it? Because it sounds like they weren't asking a whole lot from you, or they weren't asking what you would normally give.
No, they were asking what I do. It was
okay.
It was perfect. You sure you want a point guard that comes in I won't look at all to the sideline if you don't want me to. Like, got to call to run the offense. I know how to get, at the time we didn't have Wade, but it was like, I know, I'm studying Jimmy. I'm hearing how he is. What I loved about Jimmy first is what he did so much in the community with young men. So it was like, I knew we would get along. And then obviously we picked up Wade. We talked about it, our old past, and make sure, okay, I'm focused on winning championships. So I got Jimmy and D-Wade, and then the rest of the great role players. I can figure that out. So we want you to come in and run the show. We don't want you looking at the sideline. We want you, this is what you do. Okay, cool. So we get in, I think, like the first 20 games, 25 games. I wasn't doing, I guess, what they expected of me. So maybe even later, maybe 40 games in, it was an Indiana game. I think I had a negative 20 at halftime. Okay. Come out, he's like, "You're not starting." I'm like, "Okay, all right." I'm always been the first guy to to get thrown in the fire because it's maybe him or it's his offense or whatever the case may be. Don't start. I have a meeting next day. They like, we're gonna try. We want to experiment. So I'm thinking we're trying to win for a championship. It's the East. It's not that tough. It's only LeBron we got to beat in Boston. So they tell me they want us in the next 5 games. They're going to try to go younger. I'm like, why would you go younger when we have future Hall of Famer, Jimmy Butler on the rise, All-Star? We're not trying to win. So I had to eat that fight. It wasn't really ego. Like I said, they paid me. I was like getting $14 million a year. It's the most I've been paid in my career. So it's like, you say this is what you wanted, but you take me out of the lineup, you trade for Cameron Payne, start Michael Carter-Williams over me, so it's like, and Jared Grant. I mean, we went through like 4 point guards a year, and I was on the bench, like kind of just sitting there, still being professional, still getting my work in, and I kept, obviously people around my circle would tell me like, just stay with it, don't give them what they want, don't overreact. Okay, that was tough because me knowing what I could do with this team is like, how the fuck am I not even playing? Like, you want to start, you want to experiment, so okay, fine, let's do this.
And there's probably part of you that also knows what you're experimenting with. Like, you can size that up pretty quickly. Yeah, it's like, this ain't getting us anywhere. Like, what do you need to see?
Where are we trying to go with this direction? Like, trade me if we're not trying to win. But if you're going to start, 1 or 2 year point guards that have no experience with Wade and Jimmy Butler, they're going to eat their ass up on the court. They won't even be a factor. So as far as me running the show, I've done this 100,000,000 times with Ray Paul and everybody else. Like, I know how to keep guys happy. I know how to manage the offense, know who leads shots, who doesn't, where they like the sweet spots. So it's like, you taking that away, and we're trying to win, with the other guys. Okay, I understand. Okay, so let me continue to get the work in. Let me shoot with the point guard still. Let me lead. Doesn't make a difference. At the end of the day, I'll be fine. So, fast forward, we get to the playoffs. I end up, I'm back in the starting lineup. We go into Boston, and we beat them 2 games. Then I get injured, and we don't win another game at all. So it's like, that was kind of, I'm going to say, satisfying, because obviously, I thought I would be able to play like Game 7. I was hoping we'd at least get 1 more game so I could try to get back in, force a Game 7. But it was kind of like eye-opening, like, you were a big, you don't ever forget, like, you were really important to this team, and what they did to you this year, it kind of backfired on them. Yeah. Because there was no, you can pull up the stats or whatever the case I've been playing, like, but there was no, let's figure this out, let's go over this game plan. It was kind of like, oh, we're done with you, put you on the shelf, and then obviously they had to come back to me because I guess the guys weren't producing like I wasn't producing. Come back, we go into Boston, number 1 seed, number 1 team, in the league. We win 2 games. I have 2 hell of a games. I finished the game with a broken thumb. And then we don't win another game at all. It's like, how's that even possible? Like, maybe I am important.
What do you think was the problem early on with the minus 20 and where
that game in Indiana? I guess just maybe the synergy with the entire team. I don't know if it was me personally, like the consistency. We didn't come out every night, play hard. The rotations were different. Different voices in the locker room were speaking up a lot as far as the way they wanted things. I don't know what management was saying. I was injury free. I was there every day. I was working. that game, like I said, we were getting blown out, but I had the minus 20. I don't know what the lineups were or the matchups were that game, but it was me. And the next 4 or 5 games, it was like, okay, so now who do you point the finger at? Well, like we went on a 7-8 game win streak.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I'll fall on the sword.
Right.
Now, where do we go from here?
Right.
So, like I said, that was very humbling and kind of a great feeling. Like I said, understanding like going into Boston, winning those first 2 games on the road as an 8 seed, and to come back home and couldn't get one game. We couldn't get one game at the crib. So,
how do you feel about the moniker playoff Rondo?
I think it's overblown. Like I said, I thought the game was yesterday. So in the finals, you get 3 days of rest. It's like the rest factor is big for one. For two, for me the rest factor is the biggest thing. As far as even when I was 20 years old, 21, like no matter how old you are, how young you are, rest is always best if you can get a couple of days. So that mindset, being able to lock in on one team, so I can break down as much as I want on just one particular team versus every night. I go from Westbrook to Steph to Dame. So it's hard to kind of lock in on top of playing 4 or 5 nights, or 3 and 6 nights. So it's versus 1 every other day. It's a big factor, and also my minutes go up in the playoffs because obviously rotations will cut down a lot shorter. So obviously the numbers are going to go up.
Right.
I mean, my FGAs, I'm a little bit more aggressive in the playoffs because the way teams play me. So I have a lot more of energy because I don't have to exert it every other day, or do so much on both ends. So like you got the longer timeouts, and like I said, my minutes go up. And playoffs in Boston, I was averaging, with the D Rose series my first year, I was averaging maybe like with the overtime, I was averaging like maybe 45 minutes a game. So it's like all those are factors. I can't play 40 minutes a game in the regular season. So playoffs, they cut down the rotations, my minutes go up, and then if I'm feeling it, I've always played with great coaches where they allow me to just keep going. So.
I can't help but also think, though, that it's because you're such a student of the game that given the time to really analyze and focus in on what it is that you want to do to take advantage is going to give you a big advantage.
Absolutely.
And not only just for you, but you have the time to figure out how you can use all the pieces around you.
Every piece. Just like I was saying about how I was going to beat the Golden State Warriors with this team. It's like giving me the time and the personnel, I'll be able to dissect and figure out, okay, if this is the problem, and this is how I'm going to put the problem out. And this is where we can execute and excel here. So it's funny you say that because we were in Boston, Chicago, when we were game 2, and in my mindset, we were trying to figure out I tried to put in the offense to where they hadn't seen in game 1. So in order for us to beat Boston in game 2, coaches go back and make adjustments. But if I put in the offense they haven't seen, you can't in the fourth quarter when I hit you with it. It's going to be too late. We're going to make an 8-2 run, and now the game's out of reach, or it's a big substantial gain that we've made in this run. So me, Jimmy, Dwayne, and I were in the ballroom for like an hour and 20 minutes, game 2 after the shoot around, and we put in the offense. I kind of explained to them like how we're all interchangeable in these positions, and this is where you can attack, and this is how you can do it. And it was unbelievable because we went out and we did it and we won. And I felt like we won with that particular play. Like we were able to execute. Guys were getting wide open shots. I mean, I think Anthony Morrow came in, hit a couple shots, and I was like, okay, well, this is. I envisioned it that morning. I was like, well, you put Amo on that side, we pinned down on him, he'll be able to wide open shot, and then that night the shit was happening. So it was kind of like it was so like satisfying and me feeling like I could definitely coach in the playoffs as far as like how to break it down, dissect it, and being able to make adjustments. Because it's all about adjustments, And I think I'm great at that. Giving me a couple days to go back and figure out, okay, what you're going to run or what we need to run in this situation. Who we want to put Isaiah Thomas? We want to put Isaiah Thomas on this spot. So whoever Isaiah checking, put him on this position. Whoever Al Horford's checking, put him here. So I feel like if you give me a couple days with that, and that's why I feel like that with LeBron James on my team, it's going to be hard for you to beat me 4 times before hard for you to beat me 4 times before we beat you 4 times. Because you have the best player in the world. On top of that, if not the smartest player in the world. So I was putting my IQ and LeBron's IQ against Draymond Green's. Not to just credit Steph or any of those guys, but all 3 of us have been the most vocal guys on the court. And 2 against 1 is better. And that's what my mentality was. I had certain ways to to pick on Cuz, to pick on Steph. So I was already breaking down before the season started. It just obviously it just didn't unfold the way it was supposed to.
So does that make this? We were doing the list of the most satisfying. Does this put the Lakers at the bottom of most
Dallas
satisfying? Just because
Dallas at the bottom.
Dallas at the bottom.
Like, we were hurt. I can't. If we had a full season, LeBron was there, I didn't miss 100 games, then I can really sit back and be like, you know what, I failed or I didn't. My expectations weren't. I didn't get to my expectations, but I can't. It's an asterisk because
or an incomplete.
Yeah, incomplete. I can't go. I can't critique it too much as far as like it didn't get done. But bottom, Dallas is definitely at the bottom. Sacramento was, I had my best, maybe statistical year. I led the league in assists that year. That was probably right up above Dallas, but I love because I got the relationship with Cuz, Willie Cauley-Stein, a lot of the young guys in Sacramento, and then Nancy Lieberman, still a good friend of mine to this day. So the relationships I've developed throughout the years with these two teams, you can't put a price on it. But Dallas, Sacramento, Boston at the top, New Orleans because how we were able to, what we did against Portland. Not before Portland, how we kind of, after Cuz got hurt, they put me back in the lineup because when Cuz was there, I don't know if people know, but I wasn't playing a lot because either Cuz hit the ball or I hit the ball. And I understand, I'm on a one-year deal. Again, Cuz is the future. They want to re-sign him. He's going to get the nod. So when he got injured, it's kind of was like, okay, here's the keys again. And Gentry let me, be who I was, who I am. And he let me run the show. He trusted me. He let me, talk to the guys, and I was kind of the bridge guy. I've kind of always been the bridge guy between Gentry and the young guys, or Gentry, AD, Drew. So
I thought you had a profound effect on AD.
Was the best feeling I've had this year is knowing that, because when they came here and played, it was like everyone in the organization, from the strength coach to the players, the staff, was like, these guys need you. These guys really miss you because this your daily, this the way you walk around daily, the way you instill those guys, the way you thinking win, or putting that in their brain, motivated guys to play through injuries. And so it's like that was really satisfying to understand. Like, I did have an impact on a lot of those guys, from Each One More to Darius Miller to Solomon Hill. Like, even guys like Solomon and I, we didn't have the best relationship, but he even came to me and told me we missed you, or you had a really big impact. And they were yelling like Coach Doe, or they said, Coach, we need you in the film room, or we need you somewhere else. So, like I said, that was very humbling to be appreciative. Like a year later, understand what, we wish we would have signed you back. But obviously, that's between Dale and everybody else. But it didn't work out. But New Orleans was the way we ended the year. The expectations, we won maybe 12 out of the last 13 games. And the last game, it was kind of crazy. Drew and I were sitting at the training table, we were talking. It was either we win and we play Portland, or we lose and play Houston. I wanted to play Houston, but because I wanted to go against Christian James in 7 games with me and Drew versus Dame and CJ. But obviously it was a toss-up. Okay. It's a hell of a matchup either way you go.
Now wait a minute. So why did you want to go against Christian James?
Because they were, the guy. Houston was kind of one of the teams.
So you want to take on the biggest challenge?
Absolutely. Let's get it out of the way now. Okay. That's my mentality. That's always my mentality. And I think Doc maybe put that in us, because he kind of, a couple years back, we were, a long time back, he was asking, did we want to play, I think it was Detroit now, or wait, in the conference finals. So we win the next couple games, we lose it. So KD was like, shit, let's do it now. Let's get it out of the way. Let's go through the champs. I'd rather go through the champs right away fresh versus being into, conference finals, maybe injury, guys nicked up. So let's get it. If we're going to beat the champs, let's go through them first round. So that's my mentality. I don't give a shit if we was 8th seed, had to play Golden State this year. You got to go through them anyway.
Yep.
So with Houston last year, Drew and I were really confident. I probably had more confidence than Drew himself. And he wouldn't say that. I mean, he's a very confident, quiet, really confident guy.
I think he's underrated.
I would say he's my favorite. He's one of my favorite backcourts I've ever played with. I mean, just from 1 to check, 1 through 5, bringing it every night. Super quiet, humble.
Just a good dude.
Great,
too, right?
Great dude. Hard worker, family man, and like I said, his priorities, great family. His dad, mom, always supportive. Brothers obviously play in the league, so he's one of my favorite teammates. And I miss playing with him. He's a guy that regardless of any situation, he's willing to take the challenge, and he won it every night. So I would love to go in a fight with a guy like that. So that's why I wanted to take on Dame and CJ or Paul and Harden.
That makes sense.
I had a guy that can run with me.
That makes sense. So you don't think you're coming back here?
I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
I don't have a clue. I don't know. I haven't been around. Like I just got back yesterday, but I still got my key card. I think still works. Till July 1. So I'll be in the facility, shooting, get some shots up. But.
Do you have a preference? Do you have like where you play next year, or the kind of team you're playing with at this point? What in your in the perfect world, what would it be?
It's been so long. It's almost been a decade since I won. So I definitely want to win again. I want to be a big factor while we win, whatever role I can play. Coaches is a big point in my career, as far as where I go, the coaching staff, and who's on the team. As far as is a big factor in what team I choose to play for. Like I said, I want to win. I want to compete at a high level, and I want to do it with a lot of guys that's willing to buy in and sacrifice. I can't pick the guys I'm playing with, obviously, but obviously the coaches play a big part, and that's what Doc instilled in us daily is team. And in this day and age, if young guys aren't hearing that consistently every day, you can go and think of self or my numbers aren't so great, but we're winning 5 games instead of understanding like nobody gives a shit if you win and your numbers are bad. It's when you lose and your numbers are bad, and that's when they play a part. So understand the guys willing to buy in and sacrifice, and doing it with actions versus just saying they're willing to do it versus when you hit adversity, now you go your separate ways. So
I was just thinking about the ESPN piece. Was Rich being around as odd or distracting as it was made out to be in the story?
To me, he wasn't around that much. He wasn't.
And you didn't feel like that influence or whatever?
No.
Because I think that's the way the story
that's
presented it.
That's blown out. Like unless I don't know anything, I'm not. I'm not a fool. But he wasn't like he doesn't have a dominant personality. He doesn't have like a look at me.
Also true.
Yeah, he's super chill. Like what you may think of him is different, but like what he actually is, good guy. We've had a lot of conversations. Basketball savvy. He loves the game. At every game, courtside, we talk after some games sometimes about the game and sacrifice the young guys. So I didn't see him so much as a threat or like him controlling anything at all. I don't think I was there on the flight when he came on the flight. Like I don't even remember him, I guess, being on the team playing or something. But I think that's blown out, unfortunately. I think they're trying to put him in a corner. I mean, it's not his fault. He has LeBron James,
Ben Simmons,
Ben Simmons,
Draymond Green. He's got a good crew.
Of course, it's going to come with a little bit of dirt thrown on your name or things of that nature. But he wouldn't have these type of caliber players if he was the people that they're trying to say he is.
Yeah, no, I
everybody, all those star players aren't fools or they're not being bamboozled. Manipulated as far as what they need to be or who they need to be represented by.
I've told him, I said, because he feels like he doesn't get respected for what he's built. He's looked at LeBron's guy.
Right.
That's why he is what he is. And I've told him, I said, look, I do respect what you. I know that it takes more than just. It certainly helps to have LeBron.
Right,
I'm not going to ignore that, right? Yeah. But if you're acquiring a guy like Draymond, you got to have some real value. Like
right.
you got to know what you're doing. Draymond's not a fool, right? And so, but I think what struck me is he is stuck on I'm not respected. And at some point, I don't know, maybe you went through this. I know I did. It's like you just got to go. Hey, I'm just going to do what I do. Yeah. And if whoever doesn't see it, I'm not going to worry about them because somebody will.
Right.
And who cares? I mean, if I'm about it, it's...
Yeah. To me, I think he's still young.
Yeah.
obviously still young in the game, and I think that will develop as far as like not giving a fuck or just I'm okay with my own skin mentality, which I don't really know personally if that's what he thinks or not, but over time I'm pretty sure that he won't feel like he maybe not respected because his actions are doing the talking. You know, who he represents does the talking, and the deals he's getting done are doing the talking. So it's one thing you said to be LeBron James, guy, but he's not sitting in them. I don't think LeBron's talking to these players during the meetings or how to sign them. So he definitely has value, and people are buying and believing what he's saying. Like you said, you can't get Anthony Davis, you can't get a number one Ben Simmons, number one pick just because it's LeBron's guy. Like they're being vetted by people they have around, their dads, their advisors. Like they're not just saying go with him because he's the LeBron guy. Like obviously there's some value in why you would want to sign with Clutch Sports.
So I was thinking about this. Would you want to? You thought, hey, look, give me LeBron. I should be chasing the championship. Right. Has anything changed? Like, you think if you were able to play with him another year, same aspiration, same like, let's try to go get it.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
So the injury doesn't like kind of raise a question as to where he is or where this team is. Do you still feel all healthy? Like, let's say, and it's unlikely that it would happen, but let's say they brought it back. You feel like maybe you could get the job done that you had hoped to get done
absolutely.
A year ago?
Absolutely. One or two more different pieces?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, like I said, you get 3 days in the finals now, or 2 or 3 days in the playoffs, regular playoffs. But if you give LeBron James that much time to relax, and you put him on the court for 44 minutes a night, I'm pretty sure you probably will beat the team 4 times before they beat you 4 times, unless you have those Steph Curry moments where guys are shooting unbelievable shots and KDs, but no one else should be able to beat a 3 day rest of LeBron James versus.
I kind of feel like the West is open too. Like
I think this finals is going to play a big part in the offseason. I think so. I think a lot of people.
KD goes east.
You're right.
They're not the same.
They're not the same. Nowhere near.
And then I look at it and I go, okay, so who's there? So, like, there's nobody. My thing this year, I said from the beginning of the year, I said, I don't know that I see somebody in the West who can knock them off, but I think everybody's going to take a piece out of it. And by the time they get to the Eastern Conference, whoever comes out of the East is going to be able to finish it. Because unlike last year when they played maybe the easiest team in Cleveland, they're going to play arguably their toughest team. Right. But I thought it was going to be Boston. I was convinced. Like, I looked at what they had, and I'm like, they have everything. Yeah, they have everything. They have athleticism. They have physicality. They have experience. Like, all of it. It still pisses me off that they had no business losing to Milwaukee, man.
They won game 1, and then you beat 4 straight. I don't know what's even more dissatisfying. Boston losing 4 straight to Milwaukee, or Milwaukee losing 4 straight to Toronto. With the MVP on your team.
But I felt like for where Giannis's game is, if you could make him into a thinker, into a decision maker, that's not his strength right now. He's not used to getting into space, drawing the attention, and then making that decision. He's used to just like, I can get wherever I need to, right? And so I felt like Boston had the personnel.
That's what I thought. I didn't think Boston would go down like they did against them. I don't think, like I said, with Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Horford, Baines, like they have the bodies to throw at the Giannis's, but I think their role players won that series. They played well.
Yeah.
They sold Bledsoe. Millicent struggled a little bit. He came through a couple every other game, but Toronto it was different. I don't know the coach at all, but obviously he's looking really good.
You know what the funny thing is? They replaced Casey because they wanted an offensive coach.
Right.
Dude, they just played ISO at one end, and defensively is where they did their work.
Yes, that ball stops with Kawhi. Yes.
It was
So let me ask you this: DeRozan and Kawhi. That's all it was, pretty much, right? I mean, Eddie Gasol, Siakam's developed.
Yeah, but I think there's a combination. I think there's two things. I mean, first of all, you take LeBron out of the equation.
Oh yeah,
that's a big element.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell me that wasn't a psychological hurdle for them, right? I do think, and I think you saw it against Milwaukee, like being able to give the ball to Kawhi, or Kawhi just saying, "Give me the ball, and I'll go get something." DeMar was up and down. There was times where he showed you he could do that, but you didn't know when you were going to get it. And so I think that was a big influence. And I think the other part was just, sometimes you have to. I think sometimes you have to be disappointed enough times, or you have to have a trade can have a positive. Moving KP for you guys was a negative, right? That effed up the chemistry in a way that Danny never, and it still pisses me off because Danny defends no, that wasn't it. I'm like, shut the fuck up. It was you know what? Just take the L and keep moving, right? You've done enough good things.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Don't try to defend something that's indefensible. But I do think that changed things a little bit for Kyle. He looked at things a little bit different, seeing his boy go. And I know initially, he struggled with Kawhi. But, at some point you go, okay, what's most important? How I feel about what I'm doing or what we're going to try to accomplish. You got to get to that spot where everybody, and that's where Boston never made that turn.
Right, they did.
Do you like the fact that you can hang out here? And
I love it.
Nobody's
no, it's super chill. I got my nails salon down there. My cleaners is right down the street. I walk everywhere. I ride my bike. Like I said, I'll probably get on my bike seriously. I'll probably go walk back home. I'll straighten stuff up, and then I'll probably get on my bike and head down.
So you do a training ride, or
no,
you just like a chill?
Just it's an all an aha moment of just seeing multi-million-dollar homes on my left, and then having the ocean on my right, right down the street. So motivation, inspiration, time to just reflect and be appreciative of this day, where I am in life. Peaceful, positive. No one bothers me. Always good energy here. I mean, that's just LA in general, but this part of town, I never envisioned living in Manhattan Beach. Never even thought about it. When you come to LA, it's you go to LA, you Beverly Hills.
Yep.
When I moved here, or when I signed, I was this is kind of where I want to be.
So did you visited this spot, or?
I looked at 2 years ago when I was thinking about coming to Lakers, and I was in LA, and so I love looking at houses, and I just went and looked at a couple places down on the beach, and then obviously fast forward a year later, I went and did it again. I kind of found my place online, and I knew this was the area. Then 8 minutes from the facility, 10 minutes from the airport, 8 minutes from the private airport. So it's I don't need to go anywhere else. Everything I need is here.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, I'm big on when I'm at home, not having to get in a car to go anywhere or do anything.
Right.
That's why I always like going to Portland.
It's a real thing.
Because I stay downtown, man. I can go out to eat, I can work out, I can do whatever I need. Arena's 10 minutes away.
Yeah, there's something about this the energy in the air. I'm a Pisces. I don't know if it has anything to do with the water, but I love the water. Like I said, my view, I wake up, in my kitchen, I can see the ocean every morning. Having lunch in my little patio, outside, good breeze. So it was unbelievable energy here this year for me. Like I said, once I'm home, and my home, wherever I play, always has to be my happy place.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere I need to be comfortable, no matter what's going on throughout the season. If I'm home, I'm in a good space mentally, and then having to be able to walk down after losing 3 and get road game, just walk down to the beach is put things in perspective. That's big.
All right, that does it for this episode of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. Keep in mind, we appreciate you rating and reviewing the show. However you feel about it, screenshot that review and send it to @BucherFriends, and you'll be eligible for prizes. And you can rate it wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes or wherever. Just hit the number of stars. If you want to leave a comment, great. If not, that's all good too. Still be eligible as long as you send a screenshot of that review or the stars to @BucherFriends. As always, thanks for listening.